Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics from around Europe. Today we're discussing Juventus, the old lady. So I brought two of the oldest souls in the office, Dan. Michael McCubbin and James Wayne. Welcome aboard, guys. But before we get into Juventus, just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel even and hit that notification bell to never miss a video. You don't want to miss out on plenty more Continental Clubs in the future. But let's get straight into Rory E. Deverett's question, who has asked, are Juventus making a mistake swapping Dybala for Lukaku? Now, unless you have been living under a rock, you would have no doubt heard that there's talk about a Dybala-Lukaku swap deal, potentially another £20 million on that, going to Juventus. Supposedly, the Argentine isn't that enamoured with swapping, Champions League chasing Juventus for Europa League strugglers Man United, especially after a summer they've had. It's been quite disappointing compared to what it could have been. This deal might not go ahead, but if it does, McCubbs, as our resident United fan on this panel, what are your general thoughts on this deal?
It's hard not to get a little bit carried away, a little bit excited. Joe was getting very carried away with himself this week in the office. And it's hard not, and I can kind of see why. And I was definitely, I've been checking Dybala on Twitter a lot the last few days.
Checking him out.
Yeah. But having said that, I think it's easy to kind of oversee the fact that I think if Dybala were to go to United, he'd definitely offer us something that we don't have. However, could potentially cause headaches to Solskjaer come the new season. Not really sure what formation we're going to play. You probably think that we'd be playing a 4-3-3 where Dybala would be probably stationed on the right with Rashford in the middle and then Martial on the left, or Daniel James kind of backing him up as well. But having said that, Dybala often played on the right last season. Obviously, Ronaldo took centre stage up top, and he kind of suffered for it. Only I think got 5 goals and 4 assists in all competitions.
Like that,
whereas the season before, when he was playing pretty much as a centre forward, out and out, he absolutely smashed it. So it's a difficult one. So it's either basically play him on the right in a 4-3-3 or play him as more of a 10/second striker in a 4-2-3-1. In which case, United still haven't solved the right wing issue. So he's definitely not the player that I would have thought at the start of this summer would be the kind of the problem solver. I was definitely more up for just getting a straight right winger. Jadon Sancho obviously is the dream, but anyone in that mould, and it just doesn't look like that problem in particular has been solved outright. If we were to get Dybala in, Lukaku obviously had a really bad season, but still scored a decent amount of goals. So
people forget that.
Yeah, he was still relatively productive despite being very, very inconsistent. I think he only really kind of scored his goals really came in a kind of 2 or 3 sprees, kind of across 2 or 3 months, and he was pretty unproductive for the rest of the season. But it's a difficult one because you still don't have you're still relying massively on Rashford if we lose Lukaku to basically have the season of his life and score at least a third more of the goals than he would. You'd probably be expecting him to score about 2/3 more of the goals than he has so far in any season. So it's a difficult one. Obviously, you're getting in a bit of a superstar. It will obviously raise morale. He knows Pogba already. They've got quite a good relationship and stuff like that. So on the surface, and by United's kind of standards of the last few years, it's the kind of transfer which could be great, but equally, as we'd seen with those kind of Galactico, Ed Woodward acquisitions as well, don't often work out. So I don't know, it's a difficult one, and especially the fact that he seems very keen on staying at Juve. It's a difficult one. It's very difficult to see how it would actually pan out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sceptical that it will actually happen. But I think Lukaku's sort of copping a bit of unfair flack recently.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't his best last year, but as you say, very good point, very good goal scorer. Always, I think he's contributed over 15 league goals for the last maybe 5-6 years, which is a pretty good return. Only Aguero and Kane have scored more in the Premier League since his I think 2012-13, so fantastic record in the competition. But United's win percentage actually is better without him in the side. and 11% of all his United goals came in the first 2 months of his United career. Which was quite an interesting stat, I thought. But James, as a City fan, does the prospect of Dybala going to United, does that leave you quaking in your boots across the city?
Not really. I can see Dybala next season contributing to more goals for United than Lukaku did last season. But I do find this a bit of a kind of a kind of neutral deal between the two, because they both kind of come off well, but you don't really know, because Lukaku, as brilliant as he been, and people have to forget he was brilliant beforehand, has had a bit of a dip last season, and he's going to a team where he could kind of forget this past and kind of relive his Everton form, or his early United form anyway. And Dybala, obviously very similar, having a bit of a bad season last season, being pushed out the side somewhat, very similar situations, and could provide kind of positive outlet for United. So it's a deal that sounds good, but also sounds bad. I don't really know how to feel with it. Juventus has been doing some very decent business this summer, and these two, I say two, I'm talking about the Dybala Lukaku swap and the Danilo Cancelo money swap.
That's a weird one as well.
It does seem a bit weird, this current thing, and I'm kind of with you that I don't think these are exactly going to happen. I heard that the Fabio Paratici, I think is the agent,
sporting director.
Sporting director, sorry, is in London meeting with both clubs about these two today. So, if the rumours are correct, this is going through. I think it's a fair enough deal. I do think Juventus could get a lot out of Lukaku because he is a fantastic player deep down, and similar to Dybala. If you do put Rashford up top, you can see Dybala creating a lot for the team. And I do think, you do need a right winger, because it is mental that you're plugging gaps that don't need to be filled.
I'm kind of with you. I don't think it makes them incrementally better. I don't think it makes them title challengers or anything like that.
It doesn't change much.
But I mean, no transfer does, do they? No transfer does for United. I think it's,
True. There's a lot of work to be done.
It's getting top four.
I'm quite surprised you haven't signed a central midfielder, like a defensive central midfielder in particular. Like no Herrera, you haven't replaced Fellaini, who left in February. Obviously, Fellaini's not, like a world beater, but he still puts
a body.
Exactly 30 games out of him. Puts a lot of pressure on the likes of Pereira to really step up this year. McTominay is now, one of your senior midfielders.
McTominay's the man. Bravo cover star, and the man who's been, the side has been built around. But I do think for Juve though, I mean, for United for sure, like Dybala doesn't solve all the problems. It would be a really interesting signing. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him in the team, obviously, because he's such an exciting player. But I think actually it's a more weird transfer from Juve's point of view. For sure, Lukaku could rack up a lot of goals in Serie A, no doubt about that. But a year on from spending 100 mil on Ronaldo, are you really going to put a 34-year-old Ronaldo, at least coming up to 34? Are you going to be putting him on the left, like as some people are saying that Sarri wants to do? Like that seems like a ridiculous decision. Like that seems so stupid. Like a player who's adapted his game for a more central position as he's gotten older, as he's gotten a little bit slower, as he's made his game a lot more efficient. And now you want to put him on the left, where he's going to have much more of a creative role. I don't know. Like I mean, he was obviously fine at doing that at Real Madrid even in the last couple of years, but I don't think you're getting the best out of him there. And I don't know. Ronaldo and Lukaku in the same forward line for me just seems a bit odd. I don't know. I just don't see them working that well together.
James sort of intonated it earlier, but the rest of their business I think has been really impressive. Obviously, De Ligt is like probably the best young centre back in the world. 19, everyone knows all about him. Eredivisie winner, Dutch Cup winner. I think he's approaching sort of 20 caps for the Netherlands at his age. Just looks like a real prospect. Such a good player to have in there. And then Rabiot, Ramsey, we've talked to death about them as well. Buffon's come back. But then they've also made some really interesting centre-back signings as well. In Christian Romero, who they signed from Genoa. I think it was about 20 million euros in the end. They've loaned him back to Genoa for the season. Supposedly one of the best up-and-coming centre-backs in Serie A last year. And then Mera Demiral as well has come in from Sassuolo. Looked really promising last year. So they've got plenty of options. But it just feels like they're making some interesting decisions in terms of departures. I don't know why they're thinking of getting rid of João Cancelo, unless his wages are enormous. Moise Kean going to Everton, looks like that's nearly confirmed as well. They seem to be sacrificing their future at their club for the sort of going balls to the wall for this Champions League, which I don't think is necessarily the best idea.
You'd expect if they were to get rid of these kind of players, your Dybalas and your Cancelos, that they would try and offset the money that they've spent on other people with that, just to kind of, obviously financial fair play is extremely strict now, and try and make sure the books look all right. But the fact that these deals are swap deals and the money is coming in isn't great. Like I heard a rumour that the Cancelo things could be as low as 20 million euros in Dylan.
Really?
As low as, obviously that's still a rumour, but if that's the kind of fee floating around, it's like, why are they not just cashing in?
What are your thoughts on Danilo and your sort of right-back situation going forward? Because it wasn't Kyle Walker's best season. I feel
Danilo gets a lot of stick unnecessarily. I think he's been a fine player for us, made mistakes, but who hasn't in that squad? And when they do make mistakes, usually it leads to a goal, which tends to happen when you're a defensive player. But I think Kyle Walker's made plenty of mistakes. Zinchenko, Delph, all these players have made loads of mistakes, and I think he gets a bit of unfair flack. I'd say if he does go and we could use him as a tool to get Cancelo, that's brilliant.
Perfect,
and I'd wish him the best at Juventus. But
I like it.
I'd happy if he stays, happy if he leaves.
Just a nice goodbye. Also, he's got that flexibility of being able to play on the left as well. So I think he's a useful player to have in and around your squad.
Yeah. But I don't get like you were saying about Juventus kind of going in the short term for the Champions League. I just don't see how those moves aid them. How does Danilo coming in and Cancelo going out help you in the Champions League? How does Lukaku coming in and Dybala leaving help you in the Champions League? I mean, I don't know. It just kind of seems nonsensical.
It does, doesn't it?
It's confusing.
And a complete switch from their transfer policy of the last few years as well. I don't know why they're sort of hemorrhaging their young talent. I suppose with Moise Kean, they're getting 40 million for an academy product.
Yeah. They'll have a buyback.
And is there a buyback? I don't know if there's a buyback clause in there.
There's a buyback clause in there as well. And I think it's quite a good fee for, as promising as he looks, that is a lot of money for someone who has made something like 20 Serie A appearances, even that. I think that's even, actually, most of those are made at Hellas Verona on loan as well, so I think it's even less for Juventus. But did look promising when he played last year. Sure. My Cubs, in approaching transfer deadline day, I don't know, it's a shame to take it over to England, but we've got to touch on United. 5 days to go now, maybe even less than that, next Thursday. Are you confident that Maguire could get over the line? Why has Bruno Fernandes not been done if it's actually going to happen? It's
not really sure. It's a difficult one. I think, hasn't Bruno Fernandes been talked up going to Spurs now?
Yeah.
It seems a little bit worrying, to be honest, and almost like we should have got a sporting director in place before the start of the summer.
You were touting Rio Ferdinand.
We were at one point, so I mean, maybe, probably dodged a bullet there. But no disrespect to Rio, but not really qualified. I don't know. To be honest, I think I've been quite caught up in the whole Dybala thing over the last few days. All the centre-back talk seems to have kind of got a bit dead. Maguire might be off. There's been some talk of United now looking at Umtiti, but getting a deal over the line for him in a week, that seems kind of improbable. So, it's slightly worrying. I think a centre-back will get done. As to who that is, I'm not really sure. Might have to go for a downgrade on Maguire, to be honest. If they're quoting 90 mil, it just doesn't. I don't know. United could stump up the cash, but equally, I could see us being like, no, that is too much. I feel like we've been a little bit more shrewd with our money this summer. I'm not really sure where it stands, to be honest. But one thing is for sure, like a centre back will be through the door. Yeah. Whoever it is.
Got to be done. Before we go on to our next section, why don't we do a quick poll? We'll obviously do maybe a Champions League look ahead in a future show. But why don't we just do a poll now? Who do you think is going to win the Champions League? Let's put Juventus, Real, Barca, Man City, Liverpool. Let's put them all up there.
Can we?
I don't know how many options you can have, but vote, okay? And we'll move on to quickfire questions. First quickfire question comes in from Captain Kirk, who's actually had a good few weeks. I think he got a hot take in a couple of weeks.
He did get a hot take. Yeah.
Greedy Captain Kirk. Anyway, he has said, opinions on Sterling and Bernardo Silva missing out on the FIFA best list, but Kane getting on. Who else was unfortunate to miss out? Jimbo, your boys, not on the list.
Bernardo, I mean, the best list for me doesn't make sense. I moaned and had a little kick-off yesterday about it.
You had a little tantrum.
And it's
your toys at the pram.
It makes sense in terms of they prioritise the Champions League. I get that, but Kane being in there is extremely confusing to me because hasn't won anything and was good. He was good.
He also didn't really have that much of a hand.
Considering,
like Champions League run,
considering
Danny's
his
hate crying behind the camera.
considering his previous seasons, why he's in it now, it just blows me away.
I agree.
And they love trophies. And Bernardo Silva, literally, apart from the Champions League, won everything he could, even the Nations League, which people don't really know how to.
I think he was man of the tournament.
He was player of the tournament, yeah. So for him not being in, I don't understand. But I'm not too fussed because I think I was quickly told by everyone, and I do agree, and I was reminded that it doesn't mean anything.
But it's not even the Ballon d'Or.
The best awards is a new thing, and
thing,
individual awards always. They're always confusing. There's always people that shouldn't win it, and people, so I'm not too fussed about that. It's all about the trophies.
I had an argument on Twitter with someone who said that Salah or Mane should be named as the best player in the world for last year.
No,
really?
Which was ridiculous, frankly. I thought the list actually wasn't too bad, except for Kane getting on, to be honest. I thought it was pretty accurate. I can see why they put De Ligt and De Jong on, but for me, you could have probably put Tadic on instead of De Ligt, possibly. Outrageous year he had, but he's probably not as...
They love the Champions League.
He's 30 and hasn't had a big move this summer, so maybe not as fashionable.
Hazard was on the list, but fair enough, he did drag...
He won the Europa.
Yeah, dragged them to Europa League and got a big... but I think it's one of those awards where if you start kind of getting annoyed at those kind of things, then you need to take a break from football.
Yeah,
You've lost it.
McCubs, were you pretty chilled out about the whole FIFA Best Awards? I can't imagine it really phazed you.
Yeah, not really, to be honest.
Scott McTominay's on Pez.
Scott McTominay's on Pez, so that should have got him a nomination in the first place. But now, I mean, I'm actually struggling to think of who else really deserves a place apart from Sterling or Bernardo or maybe Aguero.
It'd be nice if they gave a shout out to someone like Quagliarella.
That would have been great. Yeah, killed it in Serie A, didn't he? And there was someone else who was on the tip of my tongue, but I completely forgot who that is. But I think it's someone who plays in Italy. Can't remember.
Yeah, Lewandowski had a good year.
That's it. Lewandowski for Bayern. Yeah, I think he probably could have got a shout out, or like one of the Dortmund players as well, because they obviously had such a great season. Like Sancho would have been cool to see seen on there, but I can understand why they wouldn't.
I think they prioritise Champions League as their main thing.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to @clearly Claro's question. Thanks, Claro. Thoughts on Malcolm to Zenit? Now, McCubs, as a Barcelona man, what are your thoughts on this? Are you pleased or?
To be honest, I haven't really tracked his progress so much over the season.
He didn't really get any minutes.
He didn't really get any minutes. So I don't know, and I also know nothing about the current state of Zenit St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised to know. I don't know if it would be the move that I want. I know obviously like Russia has been quite a popular place for Brazilian players to go in the past. And he'd probably be fine out there. He'd probably be one of the best players in the league. He's supremely talented, super useful to any attack, especially I think a team who play on the counter. Don't know if Zenit do, but he's super fast, super direct. I really like him, but I don't know. I feel like a move maybe to another La Liga club or to Serie A would be a bit more suitable for him. I'd like to see him blossom in a top 5 league.
Yeah, I feel like he's slightly shot himself in the foot. I think I did a tweet about it this week. I think he got 650 league and Champions League minutes, which to my mind is not really enough of a chance to judge him. But fair enough to Barca.
He's only 21. He's got plenty of time to develop.
They got £36 million for him. It's a good deal for Barcelona's perspective, especially with the amount of forwards they now have on their books. But I'm just a bit gutted for him that he didn't go to Roma. I mean, he was in Rome Airport and then ended up at Barcelona, had a bit of a nothing year, and now he's in Russia.
That's the thing, he's kind of set his own fate with that, hasn't he? And it's always a shame when somebody who is kind of touted for being the next this, that, the other, goes to kind of Russia. There's nothing against Russia in terms of the league itself, but as you said, you want someone like that to be blossoming in a top 5 league where you can kind of keenly keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll just do one more. Hebu1 says, realistic expectations for AS Monaco after last year's horrible season. Now, I won't spring it on the boys because that's quite a brutal question unless you've been reading up on AS Monaco. I thought I'd include it because transfer talk this week, they're linked with Cedric Suarez from Southampton and Ivan Perisic. So a bit of a change in tack. They're not going for their usual young guns. Hoovering up the French domestic talent, they're going for Ivan Perisic, which I think is quite a rogue move. And they've also bought in Gelson Martins for something like 30 million, which I think is a complete overprice. So I expect another season of mediocre struggle for Monaco. I don't think they'll be back in the top 4 necessarily. But having said that, Lille, are in bits. They've had Thiago Mendes, Nicola Pepe, Rafael Leao leave. Lyon are in, they've had a bit of a struggle as well, losing Mendy, Fekir and Dembele. So it's going to be potentially quite interesting from 2 down in the French league. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. And Marseille under new management and Andre Villas-Boas. So plenty to get excited about if you're a French fan.
I think Monaco. I think they'll probably finish top half. It seems to be the kind of like traditional in Liga and for
is Fabregas still playing there?
I'm not sure he's retired.
Has he retired?
I'm pretty. I swear he was doing punditry. So
but sometimes people do that at the end of their career. They just sort of dabble in and out the studio. Sometimes they've got their boots on. Sometimes they've got the mic. Bit of everything. Let us know what is happening with Fabregas. Is he still playing? In the comments down below, and let us know what you guys think about Monaco's upcoming season. I think we should wrap up there, lads, actually, because I'm very, very hungry for lunch. What would you guys like to push to, if anything?
Oh God, what have I been in recently? I don't know. There's the Stat Wars. I'm editing a Stat Wars now. The playoff final will be out tomorrow, and the second finalist reveal, and that was out yesterday. So go watch those 2.
Decent. Go and check out the SE Dons video.
Over 100k now.
Over 100k now, so that's great. That's over on FD. And I've only kind of been back this week, so I can't really know any of the other content we've done. But
Michael's head's still
lots of great
stuff.
Chilled.
Watch all our stuff. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to all 3 channels. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.